Alright then guys, Jeff here back again with another video. So today we'll be talking about the whole Twitter saga. Okay, I'm gonna make this slightly shorter than I usually make my videos, so that at least I can kind of concise all the information and also talk about the possible discussion that we might want to talk about how Elon Musk is getting into the board of directors for Twitter. All right, so first of all, we have to talk about how Elon Musk actually filed his 13G filing for a 9.2% stake into Twitter, making him the biggest Twitter shareholder um, for now, like completely by a landslide, 9.2% at the moment. Next up, if I'm not mistaken, is by BlackRock at about 8.7% or so. So pretty big for one person to basically take up the biggest amount of stake in a company. He paid, I think, $2.9 billion to enter his 9.2% stake into Twitter. And of course, at the start, it was reported to be a passive investing a passive investing stance. Of course, that's why it was filed by 13G instead of 13D. But of course, with how it has progressed, even Parag Agrawal, which is the CEO of Twitter, basically, welcomed Elon into the board of directors for Twitter, and even Elon himself came up to talk about how he's very very happy, for to get into the board of directors and possibly add some improvements into Twitter in the following months to come. Okay, so let's get into the smaller things of how this might be good or bad for Twitter or for the whole world or whatever it is. All right, so first up, we have to talk about how, how did Elon Musk actually get into this Twitter $2.9 billion worth of stake? Okay, and what will actually happen to Tesla? Okay, I'll be talking more about this in tomorrow's news as well, just to kind of give you guys more of an overview. But what I am kind of worried about Tesla for now. Right now, Tesla is down about 3%. Right now, of course, it's about almost 12 a.m. It's still the previous day. It's still Tuesday. But what I'm afraid for Tesla is because if Elon Musk is currently buying $2.9 billion worth of Twitter back in March, back in I think 15th of March, where he actually did the filing for the 13G. What I'm afraid of is that where did he actually get all this money? Because Elon Musk is not someone that have cash stashed in every bank account. Okay, he have most of his net worth in Tesla shares, in SpaceX share, and basically all the companies and such. So my thinking is two things. It's either in Tesla, he's most likely going to be liquidating his Tesla shares, or he's going to be liquidating his Dogecoin shares. Personally thinking, I don't think he have that much Dogecoin for it to really be $2.9 billion. So ultimately, I kind of want to sway towards the side of it being Tesla shares. If he did sell his Tesla shares to get into a Twitter, 9.2% of Twitter, okay, you have to understand that this also equivalent. It kind of means that Tesla is going to have a huge sell-off. Well, technically, Tesla should already have the sell-off because the selling actually already happened. In order for him to actually get this current get into Twitter. But what would actually be a concern for Tesla holders is when he actually announces the time that he actually sold his Tesla shares is when Tesla would have a little small drop in its price action. But I don't think that that's going to be affecting much for Tesla because in the long term, we do understand the upside potential for Tesla is way higher than any other companies out there. So I don't think we're going to be that worried about Tesla. All right, so back to the whole Twitter saga, and also something to do with Tesla, okay, which is about the SEC. Okay, the SEC has always been on Elon's tail, asking him, why are you tweeting about this kind of thing about Tesla? And of course, even CNBC also talked a little bit more about it with Jeremy Sorkin talking about it on CNBC as well. And he was saying that, because SEC is always on Elon Musk's tail, asking him about Tesla's next move and such. And of course, it kind of makes sense because if Elon Musk is going to be joining Twitter, there's a good chance that he will not be censoring himself as much, obviously, because the thing is that at the moment we do not see any of the board of directors in Twitter actually being active on Twitter. And by active, I do mean like talking about, reformation of the whole company, new features, actually talking to the people in the whole platform, interaction and such. So I do think that, at the end of the day, it is pretty interesting for us to actually see the first board of director to actually be having this big of an interaction role in the whole entire company. So that's definitely something for us to really look into. But I do think that what's going to be more interesting is that when the SEC actually come out to be like, because Elon Musk has talked about, back in, I think it was back in 2018 or 2019, where Elon Musk basically just said that, Tesla price is just way too high right now. And the price just went down. And it's this kind of thing that the SEC really want to have a little bit of a crackdown on, which I totally understand. And because of that, I do think that with Elon Musk actually joining the board of directors for Twitter, would have a little bit of repercussion. But of course, for now, we do not know of any repercussion to come until the SEC actually talk about it. Hopefully, in the next week or so, I do think that there is a good possibility that the SEC will start talking about this, or at least announcing some form of an investigation going into this. And also, the next step that we also have to talk about is also the reason why Jack Dorsey have to kind of leave Twitter behind is also because of the fact that he have too big of a stake in Square, which is now named as Block. Because of that, he kind of have to choose between these two darlings of his. Either you want to choose with Block or you want to choose Twitter. And ultimately, he chose Block over Twitter, and then he left as the CEO, and then he just went over to Block. But of course, he's still the board of directors on Twitter as well. Of course, I'm not saying that Elon Musk is gonna effectively take over as CEO in Twitter. I don't think that's gonna be happening. But how do I actually see this is because let's just say if now Elon Musk is in the board of directors, and if a vote were to come out and the CEO have a certain viewpoint and such, Elon Musk have literally the biggest shareholder stake in the whole company right now. Okay, and I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be like it's gonna be Elon's way or no other way. Of course, I don't think that's gonna be the way how the company is actually gonna proceed. But I do think that it's gonna be quite interesting that if the CEO were to have a differing view as compared to Elon, and Elon can basically say that how about this? Let's run a poll on my Twitter. Seeing how I have 80 million followers, wouldn't it be easier if to see if the platform who actually thinks that this is gonna work out better? And I do think that what Elon Musk actually did with the poll on the edit button, that was really, really well done, because the moment he did that, I'm not sure if he had prior knowledge that he's going to be joining the board of directors. Probably did, but I'm taking on a stance in the fact that I think he didn't. And if he didn't and he actually did the poll, that kind of bring forth kind of an activist role in his whole board of directors seat, even though he was meant to be passive. He's more of an active role in the board of directors, and I thought that it kind of is quite smart for him to do so. It's kind of like having a power trip over in the board of directors, and if this kind of work out well and an edit button comes about, people can kind of skip the chain of command, and people can just kind of DM Elon Musk and just be like, "Yo, I think that this would be a great idea for Twitter." And then Elon Musk is the kind of guy who's so eccentric to the point where you can actually shoot him up. You can shoot up a DM on him, and there is a good chance that if he accidentally saw it, he can read the whole thing, and he would think that this is actually a good idea. I will try to implement this. He's that kind of guy. Okay, and this is what we're talking about. How the possible improvement of Twitter. And then you bring forth another issue, because the thing is that improvement to a certain platform don't always come from all angles. Okay, not everyone thinks that one particular feature is the best, and at the same time, not everyone thinks a particular feature is the worst. So even with the edit button, okay, you can clearly tell that 70% of the people voted for yes, and then the rest of them, including myself, voted for no. Because the things that I chose no is because I don't wish for people to be able to edit some of the things that they have said on record, and for that to all be changed because of an edit button. Of course, at the same time, from another person's perspective, it kind of makes sense for you to kind of edit your own viewpoint from the tweet that you made in 2013. Because come on, man, at that time I wasn't smart enough to make a good decision. Hence, I wanted to change up my tweet. So I do think that at the same time, I do think that this is a good thing and a bad thing. And because of that, we are going to have a lot more of this post in the future, I do believe, be it for new functions and such. And they'll have to go through this whole town square-esque sort of functionality. And you have people kind of voting, and you never have 100%. You will never have a unanimous vote onto a single choice. That has always been the case since the beginning of time. So, but I do think that because of how Elon Musk is going to be joining in on this, as compared to how the board of directors were actually functioning before Elon Musk's entry, I do think that this would actually add a lot more diversity and more feedback, more different forms of feedback into the board of directors. So that's going to be something interesting for us to really look into. So yeah, I do think that, in terms of like the company aspect of things, I do think that it's going to be very, very interesting. But if you're asking me about price movement wise, this is the same thing that I actually told one of my friends as well, which is if you have a lot of shares in Twitter right now, I would personally sell calls, which is a bearish movement. Okay. But at the same time, I would sell out of money calls because I would want to take some premium, first of all. And secondly, is because I would like to see if there are any sudden price movement downwards. And if there is, I would like to profit a little bit off of them. Okay. Of course, at the end of the day, I do not really want to sell my Twitter shares if I do own more than 100, because I do think that in the long run, if we do have Elon Musk on board, I do think that Twitter is going to be a better company, as you can really tell from the whole Elon effect. Whatever Elon is actually being involved with, he have this cult-like following behind him, and it kind of just helps to incorporate that into every single company. Okay, be it your Tesla, be it your SpaceX, be it your Dogecoin and such. So I do think that Elon Musk being added into the board of directors for Twitter is going to do Twitter more good than bad. But at the same time, I do think that at the same time, when people keep on thinking that there's a lot of upside potential, at the same time, there will always be repercussion to come by. And I do not want to let the repercussion hit so hard, which is why I tend to like to sell calls a little bit. And if worst case scenario do come, I'll just have to push it back and I'll just cycle it harder. I can just push back and just cycle my options into a further date, and I'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, I think that's kind of my opinion on this whole entire Twitter saga. And finally, with the last question, for me to really ask about this whole thing, which is, if Elon is going to be in the board of directors, is Donald Trump going to be coming back to Twitter? But yeah, anyway, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.